Welcome to episode 4 of the YouTube channel. So we are on foot. We have no car, babe.
No car.
Car's gone. So as we were talking about last episode, we're in the process of selling the FJ. And we've just settled on the Troopy, which is going to be leaving from Perth to Sydney this week. So we should hopefully get it around the middle of October.
Great.
Until then, we are carless. So we are walking to the beach and we're going to be talking about what we did with the FJ and why it wasn't the right car for us to travel around Australia for a year. So when we started getting into forward driving, we were doing some research and we're trying to find the right vehicle for us. As you can tell, we're a little bit weird. So we wanted a vehicle that was going to kind of match our weirdness. So what did we choose? We chose an FJ. So we originally saw the old school FJs. I don't know where we're going. Originally saw the original FJ, the FJ40s. And we were going to get something that was like super old school and do it up, which would have been awesome, but better judgment led us to get a new car that was reliable, wasn't going to break down.
Wait, hold on a little bit. The reason why we decided to go for the FJ, oh god.
Catch your breath, babe.
I can't walk and talk at the same time.
It's good for your health.
The reason why we decided that is because we wanted a car that would allow us to go on our weekend trips and have a blast and go on places beyond the caravan park, because as we said in the last video, that wasn't a great experience. The reason why we decided to go with the FJ was because we wanted to be able to have more freedom and going in places other than caravan parks and stuff like that, especially because of the dogs, but also because we don't really like people.
Yeah.
We like to, like, if we're going camping, we don't want, like, you know, noisy people around us or anything like that. So in order for us to go more remote, we figured out that one, we need something that a car that would allow us to go into those places, so it has to be full of drive, and two, it has to be a car that would allow Jackson to go to work every day, so it wouldn't be able to be like a van.
Yeah, it had to fit in the underground car park at the office.
Yeah, there you go.
So we were limited by like 2.1 meters. So we wanted something that was versatile, that would allow us to have like the best of kind of all worlds, right? And we did a lot of research, and I always liked the look of the FJ. I thought it looked really cool and kind of weird, like us. And so that's what we decided on.
It allow us to have like all the utilities in the back, to have the drawers, which was like so good. The fridge was like a lifesaver, because if you are like camping in places that it would take like an hour to get into the first shopping stores, it just is a pain.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. When we went camping like the first time, we had like an esky and all of your food gets all soggy and like goes bad.
Like
2 seconds, yeah.
So that was a great, and the FJ did its purpose. I mean, it was great for everyday use, but it was also like so easy to pack and go.
Yeah.
Which was something that we wanted as well, and we made sure that we bought like a lot of camping gear that allow us to do that as well.
And we made some expensive mistakes. Yeah. We're gonna do a video on like the mistakes that we made and how we could have saved like a lot of money, but
the stuff that it was bad quality and
yeah,
the stuff that we just didn't use. We'll explain more about that.
There's probably one tip that we'll give you guys is buy the good stuff the first time. Something that we kind of learned is like buy once, cry once. Like you buy once and you spend good money on it, but at least you're gonna have it forever and you don't have to worry about it again. Whereas you buy crappy stuff and then in like after using it a couple of times, you're like, this is the worst. Like the mattresses that we bought. They weren't bad, but they weren't good.
And the thing is, they were good in like the first couple of times that we used, but after that, it just like sleeping the ground, and it was so space consuming as well.
Yeah.
So then we bought the second one, which is such a good quality mattress. It was just one mattress for both of us and the pups. So yeah, just try to, and I mean, it's hard for you to understand your needs when you didn't try yet, but watching this type of videos, it really help us understand the best, you know, quality stuff. So just do your research before spending money, because that's just a waste.
Let's talk about some of the pros and cons of the FJ. So the pros were there was like a really great vehicle, like from all of the reviews that we did and we looked at in terms of like having a capable four-wheel drive that was super reliable, that had good power, that was easy to drive, and that could be used like just as well in like four-wheel drive environments as it can be like in rural, like in suburban environments. It like ticks all of the boxes. Although it looks like a pretty big car, it has like really bad space inside, to be honest. Like it was just us and the two dogs. We struggled to fit everything that we could. Like we filled this thing to the brim every single time we'd go camping.
Yeah, and it wasn't that many, but that's because we also decided to do the drawers with, you know, that would have turned into tables and have the fridge on and everything. So I still think that for the purpose of what we are looking for, that was great.
Yeah.
But as Jackson said, if we have one more person, that would have been possible.
Exactly. Even with kids, I think it would have been like not a good...
Kids have so much shit.
Yeah.
Like with one kid would have been impossible.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the cons, is the space. So the other con, which we ended up solving, but it was extremely lucky that we got it solved, was the GVM. So the gross vehicle mass. I don't know why Toyota did this, but the GVM of the FJ Cruiser is really low, meaning that the amount of weight, extra weight that you can put in the vehicle for it to be roadworthy was really low. So when we had the draw system was like 100 kilos, us two, the dogs, the roof rack, water, food, the fridge, the electrical system, everything else that we packed for our trips, it was like really, really pushing it. We found somebody that would do what's called a GVM upgrade, but it was only in Victoria. And that was gonna be a pain in the neck. So we're like planning out to do a trip there, get the suspension upgraded, get the GVM done, get the engineer certificate. And luckily I found a guy who could do it. They can't do it anymore, which is unfortunate. So if you guys are watching this, you've got an FJ, I don't think you can even do it anymore in New South Wales. It was an expensive exercise, but it was totally worth it. Otherwise, really, the car would have been like unusable, because we wouldn't have been able to carry all the weight legally, which would just
it would
not
just
a good
become like impossible for us to do the trips.
100%.
Really.
So we very quickly realized that the FJ was more of like a short trip touring vehicle. Like, yeah, there's people on YouTube that tour in the FJ full time, but they're either alone or like just two people, and they sacrifice a lot of creature comforts. Like, we didn't have a shower, we didn't have a toilet that was like packed into the vehicle. We used like a portable toilet. We had to sacrifice a lot of things in terms of things that we could take with us.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, not having a shower, it's alright on summer when it's hot, so you can just like use temperature water and that's fine. But we went camping, last time I went camping, it was like 0 degrees. It was so cold. It was absolutely no way we could, you know, shower without hot water. And even if we like warm up the water, it would go cold like this.
Yeah.
So we ended up spending a whole week with wipes, wet wipes, which is like really not good.
Not good.
I mean, I'm sure we were clean, but you really don't feel like it, and it's not comfortable.
It's not very attractive, let's say that.
It's not very attractive.
Puts the relationship to the test. So that's
we
when
did
you
pass it though.
high five. That's where you really learn to love someone. when you've been in the bush with them for like a week with no showers. So we really realized that if we wanted to do this seriously, we wanted to have more flexibility, And also we wanted to be able to do trips at like the drop of a hat. So we're really impatient and kind of lazy.
By we, he means he.
We.
Lazy is both of us,
Yeah.
but impatient, he's the word.
The whole idea of fitting out the FJ was that we could like do spontaneous trips at like the drop of a hat. The issue was that then the time that it takes to pack up the FJ, the tent, all of your supplies, the water, packing the fridge, doing all of that kind of stuff took hours. And even longer when you're packing up from a trip. So if you're gonna go away for like a couple of days, the effort required was sometimes just way too high. So the threshold to go away was higher than we really wanted. The whole ideal scenario was that we had a completely self-contained setup that took us like ideally less than 30 minutes to basically get everything ready, and essentially the same amount of time to pack up. And that's where the whole idea of the Troopy come along. We were looking and did a lot of research into camper vans with pop tops. So we looked at the Volkswagen. We started looking at the Mercedes Sprinter that was done by Winnebago, but they only do that in the States. That was a really cool setup. It was four-wheel drive and was like fully self-contained, but don't have them here. And we looked at a number of other setups, but none of them gave us all of the options that we wanted with the reliability and all of the other factors. Because we could have gone with like a Land Cruiser Defender, we could have gone with a couple of other options, but they weren't going to tick the boxes for us. We ended up with deciding on the Troopy.
And the other thing as well, again, it has to be full of drive. You know, because we have dogs, we're already not going to be able to do, you know, all the stuff there is available to do in Australia because of the rules.
Yeah.
Unless we leave them, which I'm not a fan of, but, you know, for some places I think we will. But we'll try to avoid that altogether. So for us to be able to enjoy as much as we can, it has to be full drive as well.
Let's talk about some of the pros and also some of the cons of the Troopy, because it's not perfect.
I mean, nothing is perfect. You just need to find like what is next to like the closest thing for your needs and what you want for the trip.
Yeah. We had some non-negotiables. The non-negotiable was that we needed to have the ability to have a wet weather setup that was comfortable. That didn't mean that we just had to stay inside a tent for like days on end when it was wet. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Troopy has a pop-top setup by a company called Alucab that's called the Hercules pop-top. And basically it's a clamshell roof, so they basically chop the roof off. They put this aluminium roof on that pops up. It has a floor that's on gas struts, so you can push the floor up, which is the kind of mattress of the tent, and then you can actually stand up in the back wagon section of the Troopy, which was really cool for us because the downstairs component is actually going to be our office. Then upstairs, it has like a hatch door, and you can climb up inside, and that's where your bedding area is. So it's really versatile. So it was really important for us to have a really good wet weather setup. Basically, we don't have to go outside, and even if we do, we've got a 270-degree awning that goes all around the side and the back that's going to have fully enclosed. So we essentially have the inside area for the office, we've got the upper area for our sleeping, and then we've got the outside area for basically just like a living space kind of thing. The other non-negotiable for us was being able to work comfortably. We're both going to be working on the road. We both need to make sure that we've got internet access on the road. We need to make sure that we can be comfortable working. I'm going to try my best to limit my working hours as much as I can, which is what we're going to be talking about over the next few episodes and how we prepare the business for that. But Anna, working for the union, a lot of her work is on Zoom and on the phone, supporting the members. So what do you need to be able to do, mate?
Well, first of all, I need to be able to have access to good internet. That's the first one. All the rest come with it. But I also need to be able to talk to members in a way that is comfortable for both of us. So it has to be, the least amount of noise surrounding us as possible. And this could potentially be an issue because Jackson have a lot of meetings as well in his work. In our settings at work, at home today, we are both working from home, and it can be a little bit, distracting if he leaves the door of the office open, because I'm also giving, lectures and webinars and just servicing members one-on-one. So that's, for me, it's what's going to be tricky, especially because Dobby, it's quite territorial, and I'm curious to see how he's going to behave on the road all the time. If he's just going to get used to it, or if he's just going to be alert all the time and barking for all minimal noises around us. That's going to be interesting.
He's been alright when we've been camping.
It's true.
It's only when people come close to us.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. And I guess my mission over the course of now and March is to get the business to a point where I don't have to do so many meetings. That I'm focusing on. Focusing on building out the team. So a lot of the work that I'll be doing will be strategic and spending more time kind of working on the business and supporting the team and that kind of thing. So that was another non-negotiable for us. The other one is that we needed to have a really capable four-wheel drive. We wanted to be able to do some really cool tracks around Australia. So we're planning to do the hinterlands in the kind of Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast. We're looking to do the Cape, and we want to do the old Telegraph track. We want to be able to do like Arnhem Land. We want to do the Canning Stock route. There's heaps of things that we really want to do. But we can't really do that in a van. Although a van would probably be more comfortable in terms of having a lot more facilities and that kind of thing, it's just not going to tick those boxes for us. So we're very limited. The only other option we had was to buy like a Unimog, which is on the cards still. That's going to be the next adventure, I think. We'll talk about that in another video. But it was too overkill and outside of our budget, to be honest. We don't have $500,000 to spend on an international touring truck. So maybe a little on down the track. Now, there are some cons. The first con is that the Troopy only comes in manual. Now, I can drive a manual. I haven't driven a manual in years. It's a little bit annoying. I'd much prefer to drive an automatic because I'm lazy. And Anna can't drive.
I am the last alive adult that don't drive. I never drive in Brazil. I don't drive here. I'm lazy that way. I'm very comfortable with public transport, especially here in Australia. Honestly, coming from Brazil, public transport here is just amazing. And we always make sure to live close to bus stops and just easy public transport. So that for me, it's it was never something that it was on the top of my priorities. And now we need to.
Yeah. We have a story about when Anna got her motorcycle license. Do you want to tell them what happened, mate?
Yeah. So of course we practiced a couple of times in this easy road next to our place, but we decided to go for this long. It was 30 minutes, more than that. But it was actual in the middle of traffic, right? It was my first time doing that. And it was me, first time driving, Jackson, experienced driver, and our friend, Andy was it. And he also experienced driver. So I was kind of following them and just feeling the way they were doing. So I was kind of behind them. And whenever they were slowing down traffic, I would slow down as well. It was just using them as a way of comparison. Awesome. And that was by the way, important part of this conversation was that was public holiday. So it was that thing that it was busy.
And double demerits.
But double demerits. And that was the thing that was on top of my head. And when we were coming back home, it started raining. So this jackass just ran in front of me. It was see ya, I need to go home. And I was not going as fast because I wasn't that confident. And it was raining. I was with the demerit things in my head. The traffic lights turned to yellow, and instead of me just passing through as a normal person would, I just locked the brakes. And then obviously that was a terrible idea. The roads was a little bit wet, and that was a factor as well. And lucky enough, there was no cars behind me, so I fucked up my both arms. I had this huge how do you call it in English?
The scar.
No. I just the jacket I was wearing was a little bit too big for me. So when I slipped, the thing just went up, and I was just
got gravel rash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everyone stopped and they were like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Like adrenaline was this high, right? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And when I tried to pick up the bike, I realized my wrists were like really sore. And I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to like drive home. And even if I would, I don't think I would have the guts to do it, to like just jump on top of the bike again. And I was like, people was like, are you okay? Do you want to come in? And do you want to call the ambulance or something? And I was like, no, it's fine. My boyfriend was in front of me. He's going to realize I'm gone. And he's going to come back to check on me.
6.5 hours later.
Nope. It took me, 15 minutes for him to like call me to check what was going on.
Because as soon as I got home, I checked my phone because I'm like, oh, something's weird. And then I checked my phone and there was like a missed call and I'm like, oh no, here we go. So that was the end of her motorcycling career.
Yeah.
And end of driving career as well. She needs to get a license, needs to learn how to drive manual because I don't want to drive like 30,000 kilometers around the country by myself.
Yeah. That wouldn't be fair or fun.
That's something we need to sort out.
Yeah.
That's a con. The other con is that it is a big truck. It's not going to fit in anywhere. It's been lifted, it's got the rooftop conversion.
Yeah, say goodbye to any parking with the roof.
Yeah, so we're going to be parking outside from now on, which that's okay. I'm sure we'll be fine. Those are the things that we've got to navigate.
And I mean, if you think about it, that's pretty much nothing. Like as I said before, it's all about you trying to figure out what is the best fit for you. And that was our journey and how we figured out what we wanted. But of course, sometimes you put, having more comfort on top of everything else, and that's completely fine. But then, like, Troopy would probably not be the best fit.
Yeah, let's talk about comfort. For all intensive purposes, a Troopy is a farm. It was invented for like agricultural and mining. It's not really supposed to be like a consumer vehicle, to be fair. So basically, the design hasn't changed in 20 years. The seats suck. It has no creature comfort. It's got air conditioning, but there are no creature comforts. We need to work out how do we try and get it as comfortable as possible given we're doing a lot of Ks. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and one tip that we realized when, just researching and learning more about the camper van life and all of that, we need to just realize that we're not going to be in the car 100% of the time, that we need to take breaks because that's the only possible way of doing this. So we will, and that's totally fine as well. And if I'm missing taking a long shower or something like that, just get a spa or go to a gym and
or even just hire a hotel or a motel for the night. This is the thing. We're not setting a fixed route. Like we've got a direction that we're traveling and we've got main milestones that we want to hit, but we're not going to run to a schedule. Here's the thing, once we test it and it's all working well and everything's fine, there's no real time limitation. We can take as long as we want. And ultimately it's a matter of just us working out, okay, well, where do we want to be and approximately by when, and then just take our time. The big thing for us is going to be working or revolving around our work schedules, making sure that there's time that we're online and we've got good solid internet connection and we can do our work, and then schedule time in advance for us to be completely off grid so it doesn't matter where we are. We're not limited by our working schedule. So this is about us trying to find that kind of perfect work-life balance, which is going to be the fun part, I guess, because it's the kind of unknown that we're not going to know until we really kind of set out on the road and see what happens. It's
quite funny because we are both quite work-oriented, so that's going to be interesting to just try to slow down a little bit. I'm kind of a little bit better in that just because I work on a clock, right? I work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and that's it. I'm not expected to work more than that because I work in a union, and the whole purpose is to find that balance anyway. But we are both quite, job oriented. So it's going to be interesting to just slow down and learn how to just enjoy a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the business. The big things for me in the business to make sure that I'm ready, because I guess the key thing for me is I want to focus on the trip and focus on the strategic direction of the business. The whole idea of this trip is about pushing me into a position where I can step into full-time CEO and thought leadership, and focusing on helping other business owners achieve essentially the same work-life balance that we're working to achieve right now. And ultimately, I'm just working through how do I document the steps to make sure that I can replicate it, create a replicatable system for you guys to be able to implement exactly the same thing to whatever degree you want in your business. Now, we've got to realize that in a business, there are really 4 key aspects that we need to consider. We need to consider the marketing. How do we make sure that we've got enough leads that are coming into the business to allow us to fill our pipeline? And this is something that many business owners just don't get right. They don't understand what their marketing needs to do. They don't track their metrics. They don't know what marketing channels are working, what are not, which ones are proactive, which ones are reactive, and they get themselves into all sort of trouble as a result. The second thing is their sales. They need to understand how big their sales pipeline needs to be. What is their cash conversion cycle from when they get a lead and how long it takes them to turn that into dollars in the bank account? And what is the conversion rate from lead to paying client? Many businesses fly completely blind on this. The third thing is your delivery. Do you have the ability to deliver to all of the clients that you're signing on to be able to deliver on your promise? Now, ultimately, we want to make sure that we've got enough utilization or we've got enough resources in our team to allow us to deliver that value, deliver an exceptional amount of value without hitting more bottlenecks. And then the fourth thing is your growth. Do you have enough profitability, enough profit margin to be able to reward yourself, to reward your team, and to be able to reinvest back into the future growth of your business? These are 4 quadrants that very few businesses have complete clarity around, and it is ultimately the reason why they don't scale, they don't create more free time, they don't create more profit, and they ultimately don't create more personal wealth. We're working through these 4 quadrants ourselves in our business. Now, when we started Aureus, we decided that we wanted to be known for our ability to deliver an exceptional amount of value above and beyond all of our competitors. Because we surveyed the market and we saw that many businesses were fantastic at delivering value in the beginning. They realized they were onto a good thing. They turned up their sales and marketing and they didn't have the right delivery systems, meaning that they eventually dropped the ball. It's that kind of vicious cycle of a service-based business. Do something good, people find out about you, you grow too quickly, you drop the ball, you burn, and then you go back to square one. We never wanted to be in that situation. So Sam and I have been focusing really the last 3 years on building out our delivery systems. It's all the systems and processes, putting the right people in the right position, understanding and unpacking every single aspect where we add value to our clients so we can do that systematically each and every single time. And we've done that extremely well. Now, we've got that to a point where we can scale our delivery systems pretty much exponentially. As much as we grow our sales and marketing, we can grow our delivery systems. The next focus has been for us was marketing. Once we've got the delivery systems in place, how do we get everyone busy? So we've been doubling down on our marketing. We've got our marketing working extremely well. And essentially, we've become known for helping service-based business owners remove cash flow bottlenecks, maximize their profit, and then turn business profit into personal wealth. That's what we do best. So that is the audience that we're talking to. And we've been able to really master attracting those ideal clients into our business so then we can grow and scale. And that leaves us with the thing that we're working on right now, which is our sales systems. Up until recently, majority of the sales has been done by myself and by Sam. We're moving Sam into more of a operations position where he's focusing on the delivery and the growth of the business from the back end. My role is sales and marketing and focusing on bringing the right clients into the business, showing them value, signing them on as clients. What we're focusing on right now is building a sales team, because it's not going to be good enough for me to be out in the bush, have potentially internet that's not working all of the time, or it's not the best quality, potentially missing appointments. Those kinds of things are just not going to be great for the business. So we're building a sales team. We're looking to bring the right salespeople into the business, because here's the thing, and I talk to my clients a lot about this. Sales is a dirty word in business, but it's only a dirty word because many of us have had a crappy experience with sales. We've all probably worked with that kind of sleazy salesperson who's just like forced themselves upon us. really conned us into doing something against our will, and we felt that like icky feeling afterwards. And that's something that we've never stood for. Our approach is logical. We help people understand their goals. We help them map out a plan. We show them exactly how we can help them. And if they believe that we can help them and they can see the value, then they come on as clients. Simple as that. It is the reason why our attrition rate in our client base is less than 2%. So what's been super important for me is finding the right people who have the same values and can fill those positions in the business for me. We're working at the moment. I've actually got a couple of guys who are absolutely awesome. We're interviewing a couple more at the moment. And I'm really excited of us being able to use our sales team as a way of helping and supporting more people to achieve financial freedom and grow and scale their business. So that is a big thing, guys. You got to realize that unless those 4 quadrants, the marketing, the sales, the delivery, and the growth, are not reliant on you as the owner of the business, you're always going to be a slave to your business in some degree. So let's say that you wake up tomorrow morning and you go, stuff it, I want to go on a trip around Australia too, or I want to go on a holiday for a month, or I want to go overseas, or whatever it might be when we can finally go back overseas. Unless you've got those systems across those 4 quadrants in place and a team to fulfill them for you, your business is going to come to a grinding halt. And it is almost a 100% probability that your business will be worse off as a result of you going away than if you were to stay. Now, that might be okay with you. You might be okay just winding up your business or putting it on pause or chucking it on the shelf and then coming back and having to build those things up again. But from my perspective, I would much prefer to have a business that can grow without me. I want a business where if I go away and I come back, the business is actually better than when I left. And that is the true definition of a lifestyle business. So we're going to be putting all these things to the test. The key measures that I'm looking for over the course of the next kind of 6 months as we lead up to the trip is how do we maximize the profitability to de-link the profitability of the business from my efforts. I want it to be the team's efforts. Second thing, how do I disconnect my time from the success of the business and make sure that it's linked to other people's time, other members of our team's time that is driving the growth? And then thirdly, how do I continue to implement the right systems in the business to turn business profit into personal wealth to create passive income? Because one of the biggest draw cards of this entire trip for us, of course, it's going to be an amazing experience, but we will be better off financially when we come back as a result of going away than what we would be if we stayed. Now that is the game changer. Imagine, guys, that you could have a business that you could go away for a year on the trip of a lifetime, and when you came back, you were better off financially as a result. I'm going to be talking about that in future videos. I think this is super exciting, and I've got a really great financial framework that I'm going to share with you guys. It's going to show you how we're going to structure this, how we're actually going to do it, and what the numbers look like. So this is really going to open up the opportunities for you, because I'm sure you have a lot of self-limiting beliefs and objections that are coming up when you're probably watching these videos. I can't do this. My business can't handle it. I'm never going to be able to find the time. I'm going to be set back years financially as a result. I guarantee you we can overcome all of those objections and really lower the threshold that you've set around doing stuff like this in your business. So that was our video for today. Hopefully you've got some value, and hopefully we've got you signed up, subscribed, and following the journey with us. So if you've liked our content, make sure you drop a like, drop a comment, drop a follow. And if there's anything that you want us to cover, if you've got any questions around the trip, the business, how we manage our time, how we're preparing, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to include it in future videos, and looking forward to catching you next time.